For me, the biggest challenge was to work together with 100 people. That's a lot of people to manage, and it was not my job, but sometimes you feel responsible as a director for every single human being there. It was hard to give power away to other people, but once I saw how amazing everybody was, that was the easiest job in the world, I guess. So thank you, crew. You guys are awesome.
My home is here. My fear is change. My give is take. My sound is silent. My heart is fixed.
So it's really interesting. The idea of Rekindle is basically this sort of weird science fiction adventure film. And I first made like this really cool road comedy movie, but that was really down to earth. And I wanted to do something really spectacular. That's never really been done before in Holland. And so it was really interesting to me to break out of my comfort zone. And I've been a fan of Star Wars my whole life. It shaped me as a human being. And mixing elements together of like fantasy stuff, like Game of Thrones, putting it in a blender and making that love child rekindle, that was a really dream come true.
So according to you, what is the story about in essence?
The story comes down to girl needs to steal thing. But basically it's about this character called Mika, a young woman who grows up alone on the desert wasteland called Chomi. And basically she steals from anything and anyone to have just food on the table at the end of the day. So she doesn't necessarily start out as a good guy in the beginning of the film. She meets a group of bandits who really want to steal something away from the bad guys, this big vault. And so ultimately the story ends up being more like a heist. So they recruit this girl and they're like, wait, that thing that you do, that bad thing, we kind of need that bad thing. We see a skill in that. So they recruit her on this cool road trip across space, and that's kind of where Rekindle begins.
Well, a Dutch sci-fi fantasy film. We haven't made a lot of those, actually none of those I think. So what made you want to do this?
Well, the thing is that, you know, it started out last year as an idea, as a concept, and it grew into something really big. And you know, we didn't realize that we were the first ones doing this, doing a sci-fi fantasy feature film until just recently. And we were like, well, why not? Why hasn't it done before? Because, you know, all the talent is there. Within our crew, there are so much talented people that we were surprised to hear that.
And for me, it's the same thing. Like, we have people in this crew that should be getting paid millions of dollars to do the work that they do. But yeah, we were working with 300 volunteers, which basically means everyone is doing it aside from their day jobs. That makes me so happy because it doesn't necessarily mean that talent means money or talent means funds. It just means that talent means you have a good project, and talent means that the story that we're telling, you know, excites people. And to me, you know, getting the funds together via Kickstarter, what we're doing on the 2nd of April, you know, if the fans fund us, we are giving back because we are just so excited to do this thing.
Well, I actually have a lot of Dutch colleagues who say they don't believe Holland can make good movies. Will this movie be able to convince them?
Well, you know, there are so many factors that hang in with this because, you know, we also extract talent from outside of the Netherlands. We are working together with a CGI office abroad, and we are working together with Stefanie, Joosten, of course, who is Dutch, but she lives in Japan, and we have different international talents working together with us. And yeah, do you have something to add to that? Or?
Yeah, it's really cool. So I do think that we did make some really cool films in Holland, but we didn't really make any international big films in Holland, and we are kind of here to change that fact.
Just to get a clear idea, is it more like Game of Thrones, more Star Wars-ish, or Blade Runner-ish?
It's really funny because it has a mix of both those three things. There's regions in the film that look really medieval, kind of like a Game of Thrones setting. there are parts about the story, including like a cantina-ish scene, you know, that are very much like Star Wars. And then we also have a big city in the movie as well that's constantly under downpour and rain and neon glow. That's very Blade Runner-y. So we kind of mesh all of that together. And because the story works in such a cool way with rifts and, you know, interdimensional portals, it means you can do a lot of different things in the same movie.
Yeah, for me, you know, a big influence I can see in the movie is especially Disney as well, like Robin Hood, Aladdin, and stuff like that, where we get our influences from. Yeah.
Are you guys excited for the teaser for Rekindle? Will you guys all be there?
We posted something about the trailer. One of the visitors actually said it looked a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn is an amazing game made by Guerrilla Games, which is an Amsterdam studio. We are also an Amsterdam studio, so we feel a lot of pride for those guys making an amazing AAA experience. And it's really cool. I played the game with the creators in the studio. They were gracious enough to, you know, be around and show me what the game is all about. And yeah, I did see some similarities, but mostly the theme of Horizon is, you know, man versus machine. And what we're doing with Rekindle is sort of like woman versus every single human being on the earth, you know, in the universe. So there's definitely big differences there. In terms of style, you know, I think that the character of Stefanie, Joosten, you know, Mika, is a completely different character than Aloy, the main character in Horizon. And Aloy has been written really like a caretaker, and I love that about that character. Mika, on the other hand, is the total flip side of that. She's egotistical, she doesn't care about anyone but herself, and she does anything to just stay alive and have food on the table at the end of the day. So I think that they're like polar opposites in some sort, and it's really cool to both be from Amsterdam and be creating these crazy fantasy sci-fi experiences.
Do you think it will also contain references to our own culture, our own society?
Yes, it does indeed kind of talk about some small political issues, or not per se small issues, but in a small way. In the sense of, you know, Mika is from a refugee camp, and it kind of answers the question, where do the refugees go? In our own words, which is, you know, bring them home, bring them to us, and, you know, take care. But we also want to say this movie is influenced by the things that we grew up with as a kid. You know, when I was small, the films that I grew up with were, you know, the Back to the Future franchise, or movies like Star Wars or Jurassic Park. And we don't necessarily have those things anymore. We have the new Jurassic Park, we have the new Star Wars, but we don't have the new, you know, franchise. We are trying to change that with Rekindle, bringing something like entirely fresh. We really hope that it goes over well, because a kid needs to grow up with something new and unique to look up to. The character of Mika will be a great example for young girls growing up, and it, you know, she's showing the world that you can be feminine and be a hero. You don't have to dress like Han Solo to be a hero when you're a female. So I think that we're doing a lot of things that, if they hit people, they're going to hit people hard, and they're going to be very emotional about it.
A lot of fantasy movies are really based or grounded in our own culture. If you look at Tolkien or even Star Wars. So do you think the Dutch culture is really going to influence this one?
So in a word, I'd say no, because I think that what we're doing with a sci-fi film is definitely saying, you know, it's about these otherworldlies, it's about these creatures that are from all over the place. So we don't really want to ground that into one kind of reality. The DNA of the movie has to be a little bit Netherlandsy, because we are shooting a lot of it in Amsterdam, in parts of Holland, in the north and in the south of Holland as well. But we are also shooting in places like Scotland. We're shooting in Belgium. So the DNA of the film is not just defined by where the production office is set, you know, Rocket Boy, but it's also, you know, kind of the places where we want the film to take place.
I'm seeing a lot of props over here, of course. So I was just wondering, is this movie going to be using actual practical effects or CGI as well?
Most of the things we're doing is trying to make it as real as possible. So we shot the trailer in the desert of the Netherlands, it's called, and there's, you know, an actual sand and dunes and you know, a challenge to film there, but far more exciting for our actors, far more real for the viewers, and all the props, everything, like you said, are real and true to the fact, and I think that really helps. We're trying to do less and less with green screen. Sometimes you just have to. But, you know, the more practical effects, the better. There is CGI, of course, but they'll be placed within the world, enhancing, you know, certain aspects of practical effects.
Definitely, yeah. For us, it was really important to make everything real. You know, not just so actors could, you know, play better, but also things like lighting. You know, when our character Mika, she has the power to conjure up a flame in her hand, and when she does that, there's a little light inside of her glove that glows, so that her light on her face is already, emitting a flame. So we add the flame in the computer in post, CGI flame, because the flame is alive, it's like a character. But when you already have the light, that's like half the work done.
Well, speaking about looks, because your promo just premiered over here. So is this really going to be representative of how the final product looks, or is it going to look better, or what can you say about that?
Well, I can say that it's not going to look worse. What we plan to do, with this teaser trailer that we're showing, and it's also in the Kickstarter, 2nd of April, is basically give a taste of what we think Rekindle is now with our limited budget, which is 0. And this is what we could get together, and the ultimate vision of the movie, it's going to be a lot bigger. It's going to be a lot more different. It's going to be a lot grander in scale. And yeah, things are going to change dramatically once we get the budget together. But what we have now is what we could do with nothing, and we're extremely happy about that fact. But everything will grow and everything will change. And I think we're even going to give, the writers, and we're going to give the concept artists some time to rethink certain aspects of it. So will this teaser trailer stand the test of time? I don't necessarily think so. I think this is a product of this time, of this year, and that people can look forward to Rekindle evolving as it goes on.
We at Filmhoek.nl, we love to support lots of independent projects. We've supported many Dutch movies. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. One is called Gun Hand, it's a western. Evac, a war movie. One of our colleagues saw it recently and he said it looks very, very professional for a no-budget movie. So do you think it could influence you?
So I think what other people are doing with their films is greatly, tasking us with trying to get better, trying to do different things with our film as well. And what I think is really exciting is that we have people in our crew that work on other films, that have worked on other films. So we kind of power each other, and what we do in Rekindle and the things that we learn, we want to pass it on to our crew members so that they can be better versions of themselves and, make other people happy with their gifts that they learned during our production. So yeah, I'm all for watching more films. I have heard of the Gunslinger film. What's it called? Gun Hand. And I've heard it's amazing, so I definitely look forward to checking out a lot of that stuff because I know that independent film here in Holland, they can do really amazing things.
Well, we're actually talking with different production offices in the Netherlands about how they're doing things, how we can maybe work together or help each other out on different fronts. So there is communication between the productions. With those 300 volunteers, it grew over time, and people always searching for what could they do more for the production? And if they want to reach us, just send us a message. We are reachable on Facebook or we have our email address, our website at rekindlefilm.com. Just check out there and send us an email. And we're open for anyone to join us if they have the skills, if they have the the passion for it, and are willing to work hard to achieve the dream, because this is what we share with the crew. Something where we together create what we have. And all this wouldn't be true, and the trailer wouldn't be true without those 300 people.
Since this movie is going to be funded by crowdfunding, have you already thought of what to give back to the fans or the participants, like perks?
Yeah, we did actually. We have everything in place. We are launching on the 2nd of April. And right now everything is standing, which is really cool. We have things like plushie characters, so little toys of Mika, our main character. We have things like, if you give us €5, you'll be in the credits of the film forever. But also, if you give us 8,000, you'll have a role in the film, get to fly over to Amsterdam for the premiere, get to have dinner with the cast, all sorts of cool stuff, and everything in between there. So from every different price point, there's something really cool that you're getting for that, and big packages as well with a lot of merchandise.
And how much money do you hope to collect?
Well, we have a minimal budget where we're looking at what can we do to make the movie with the funds we need, and which is €100,000 on Kickstarter. And with that, we can make the full movie. And anything more than that will only improve the movie. Will only also improve future endeavors. We can make the movie, but if we could also fly over to Scotland, it will increase, the quality of the movie because we have better locations. If we can, rent or hire or buy certain aspects that we need, the more money, the better. So there's always different budgets, and with Kickstarter, we hope, that people are willing to really contribute.